Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we are back again with another video on Dragonheir Silent Gods. And in this video we'll be challenging one of the continental bosses, which is going to be our chief challenge for Errich. For those of you who know, we have a current event going on for U tier, and this week we are supposed to challenge 4 bosses. So more goblin, I guess. I'm sure like nobody likes that. But what is important is he's going to be taking lightning damage, so you do want to have a Dauntless team. Dauntless are like the DPS units of the lightning team, and this is what I will be using in my comp. Let's just spread them out a bit. And what's important here is that the boss has 2 of these battle skills which have a 3x3 tile range, and so does his ultimate. His ultimate hits 5 times in random, so it's basically a copy of Errich himself. And what is interesting about this 5 hitter is like, instead of having like, if you have just your, he's going to be targeting the most champions he can. So it's best if you have like some tanks that can heal, like somebody like Acelia would be great here, but I will be using her in against the fight against Jatalia, where you will be doing extra radiant damage. So it's very tricky to have your placements right. I have a melee DPS here, which is going to be Nazjenka, and I'm going to be talking more about the gear later as well. But first on the placement, like the boss is going to ult and with his battle skill hit both Nazjenka and Grishna, who's going to be my tank. This is a very unfortunate situation because I haven't been able to find any placements that would allow me to use Nazjenka without her being targeted, like the way I was able to do it against Ripcast boss. But in this case, I'm not able to find one. For your compositions, I would highly suggest you to go with champions that are not melee. But if you cannot avoid it, it's fine, simply the way I cannot avoid it with Nazjenka. So some of the notable great melee DPS for this fight is going to be Shagrol, Shalter. Both are amazing. I would personally pick Shalter because he deals derivative damage, and derivative damage is the key for you to get the top chest on this fight, right? If you don't have enough derivative damage dealers, it becomes very hard. Iola is going to be great support. She provides this attack down, and you typically in these fights, especially on all bosses, where the fight is going to go on for a long duration and they get the damage bonus periodically, you want the attack penalty 2 on the ultimate, and that makes it easier to time against boss's ultimate, and you increase your survivability just through that. The battle skills don't really hit that hard. As the time goes on, they will start hitting pretty hard, but is basically your basically the boss's ultimate that deals the most significant amount of damage. So having somebody like her is going to be great. Unfortunately, there are not many great champions here. Nathaniel is a good healer, right? He's going to be dispelling 1 buff, but we don't really care about the debuff because in this fight, Errich is not going to be placed any debuff. And Iola is great, but the fact that she doesn't bring anything else to the team, like she has a lot of control, which makes her good against the wave kind of bosses where you are fighting round after round, like Goblin or Elemental Dungeons or Famiander, Pillar of Trials and things like that. Even in PvP, control is very, very strong. But in this fight against the boss who's immune to all control effect, you really have to pick well that what else are they bringing to the table, right? So I would personally pick Clovis in this fight for my attack penalty 2. First off is a 10-second and his recharge is 20 seconds if you fully have him scrolled up. And my choices of DPS are going to be, and you can also pick, if you're lucky enough to have a legendary like Acelia or Jillian, keep them for, if you have just one of them, keep them for the Jatalia fight, right? Both of them are really strong there. Garius you can definitely bring here and use Clovis in the other fight. I would personally recommend this because there's no debuffs here, so his heals are going to be more effective here than on the other fight. Catherine you can keep on the other fight because with Jatalia, because she has debuff immunity. So if you have debuff immunity, she's not going to be doing much. Jatalia is only single target poison in that fight as far as I recall. So yeah, either way you will be fine nonetheless. There are two healers in the Radiance, but you have to pick a Radiant healer simply because even with Nathaniel, it's just a recovery over time, right? It's not as much as you want it to be. And he will provide a shield, which is fine, but the backline is not going to get hit, basically. But yeah, definitely you can bring Nathaniel too. For attack penalty 2, I think Clovis is pretty good because he's bringing up defense up 2 as well. So he has high survivability, just like similar to Krishna. In this fight, basically you want to place your DPS at the far back. So going over some of the DPS options, this is going to be your melee DPS. He's a derivative damage dealer, but it's worth it regardless of the fact. Then we have Thurnus and Nimbus, who are both Thurnus is also, I think, melee, so that will create more problem for you. But I would personally go with Nimbus. You can bring in like 2 DPS and 3 support in this composition. So either you can always have an attack down, there's somebody to do healing only the 2 champions, which makes it much easier to fight this boss, although your damage will suffer in that case. But yeah, there are really not many great range DPS per se. Like, that's one of the problems in this faction. You can definitely bring in somebody like Shook as well. Shook is pretty good with reducing the ultimate energy, attack penalty 2, recharge speed penalty. So he's going to be pretty good, strong over here as well as a support, right? And he's also ranged, if I remember correctly. Now, for this fight, what you really do want is your placement should be such that each champion has like a 3 tile range. So if he targets him, the range of his ultimate is only going to be affected on these 3 tiles, right? And if he targets him, it's going to be these 3 tiles. If you target her, it's going to be these 3 tiles. The only problem is the melee units, which are going to be taking bulk of the damage. So you can't really escape that in this fight. If you have melee units, I mean, use them, but yeah, it's just hard to keep them alive. My healer is going to be Jillian. I don't really think her heals are that particularly strong. Like, I do have a lot of enlightenment on her. And I have her in the 3-year emblem sets and with the Solar King horn. So whenever she's going to be healing, she's going to be boosting the damage. She does provide, her battle skill is pretty good in this one, where she provides damage reduction. I wish it was like straight up defense up as well. That I feel like has better quality. I have Nazrenka in the Platinum Knight set. So shout out to my clanmate Liliana. We were discussing something about Platinum sets being OP on some of the derivative damage dealer, and Liliana suggested, like, this is actually really OP on Nazrenka after our conversation. So I decided to build my Nazrenka in the Platinum Knight set. I used to have her in the Gambler set, but yeah, I'm moving over to that. Ivelius is also going to be in the Platinum Knight chest. He is going to deal the derivative damage, so it really doesn't matter. He's the derivative damage dealer by himself. All you need is a lot of enlightenment, as I have here, and you want the enlightenment boost artifact. If you don't have the legendary one, you can go with the epic one, which is the Vile Ink. And the last spot is going to be Tariol. So Tariol ultimate hits a lot of times, and he's going to be placing the defense down with his ultimate. I tried to build him with that 100% crit rate, but I couldn't get it. I just don't have the gear, and I have him on Gambler set, which I really wanted because Gambler set has a chance of proccing this true damage, which will really help boost the damage since 2 of my units are going to be in the Platinum chest. And we have Grishna, who's going to be our attack down. The one thing problematic with his ultimate is that he reduces the ultimate energy. So I have to time it like really accurately right before the second skill, right? So that way I get the attack penalty 2 on 2 of the boss's abilities, 1 battle skill and 1 ultimate. And the ultimate is a random hitter. I've really thought about like how I can place the units so my Nazrenka survives the longest, but I haven't really figured out a way yet. So if you guys have figured it out, like, how would you place your units, do let me know in the comments below. I would love to hear what kind of, just the units that you have and where are you placing them. But yeah, I haven't figured out a way to keep my Nazrenka alive for a long time. I think she will be the first to die, but without further ado, let's jump right into it. So as you can see, like, I don't know why they don't do the skill timings here for these fights. It would have been so much more beneficial if we had skill timing altogether. So I'm going to be timing my ult with Grishna right away, and we didn't hit the defense attack penalty too, so that's a shame. I do have enough accuracy on him, I believe, but yeah, sometimes these kind of things happen. You know, there is an intrinsic resist value to resist and to apply debuff, so that's always going to be there. For those of you who played Raid, it was known as a 3%, and yeah, something similar is also there, but I'm not 100% sure on what percentage is the intrinsic chance of resisting or applying a debuff. But as you can see, we are already up to 23 million in no time at all. The team does crazy amount of damage. As you can see, the number pops up like slot machine, and this is primarily to Ivelios, but also with the Platinum Knight chest, again, shout out to Liliana. The damage has been like really amazing from Liliana, because previously when I was trying from Nazhenka, previously I was trying this fight with Nazhenka and Ivelios. Ivelios's damage was higher, but yeah, it's interesting to see how much damage they are able to put out. And in no time, we are about to hit 50 million. I gotta start timing these ultimates now because the bosses start going to hit really hard. I think we are almost close to halfway done. I don't think I'm going to be surviving the whole 5 minutes of this fight, simply because the boss is going to take down both my first guy is going to take down my healer and my Nazhenka, and then my healer, right? I think Grishna will die after that, and then these two are toast. They both have no survivability at all. Yeah, but I gotta start timing my ultimate. So we are already up to 70 million. It's going to be a really quick fight, it seems like. But that's the power of Dauntless team. And if you are lucky enough to pull Ivelios, definitely do build him out in a full Dauntless team. I would leave Shagrol alone after that, because you definitely need champions that have a high attack speed. So both Thurnus and Nimbus have a very high attack speed, or they boost their own attack speed. I think one of them is based on the number of Dauntless heroes, and the other one, simply just a random, simply just increases it. So Nazhenka died as expected at the halfway mark. Let's see how far we can go. I might have missed the ultimate, if I'm being honest. I wasn't paying full attention. So this 5-hitter is somewhat random, and you can try to RNG it. If all 5 hits go on my Grishna, I don't think I have a survivability issue. But yeah, since they are random, it's hard to cover each of these strikes. You cannot be certain on who is going to hit 100%. And now my healer is dead, and now it's going to be Grishna. But we did manage to do about 101 so far. I think we are close to end of the fight. I think my highest on this fight has been 110, so that seems about the ballpark number for this fight. And so as you can see, like, the placement really did help, like, even though it was not for much long, but he could only target my Thariel at the time of this ultimate. So we did about 104 million. I think I'm happy with this result. I don't really think, I'm not going to save it because I need to test a few things on this boss. But yeah, I think if you do want to build a free-to-play team around this, I think this is one of the easier bosses than the Telendor fight. Telendor is full AoE, so placement is not going to help you. He also has his own thing where he ignores a certain amount of defense, and those moonbeams hits really hard. And then we also have the other fight of Beyond Frey. Beyond Frey is like stun, and you need a frost team. So if you are lucky enough to pull Felicia, yeah, she's going to be really strong there. But I'll be making the videos on them as well. I think next week we will be challenging up to 5 teams. So yeah, more Goblin, I guess. But the team for these ones, you should definitely pick your supports from the Radiants. They have better supports compared to the Lightning, except for Nathaniel and Aeola. But Aeola she doesn't bring anything else besides attack down, and she's not a tank either. So, that's another mouth to feed, basically. Clovis is going to be my pick for a tank here, or either Garius. With Clovis and Garius, you can also have like attack down, and you can put him in the center right here and put Garius on over here, so you have some sustain on Clovis, and Garius, your healer, is not taking any damage. And then you bring in Shalter, you bring in Thurnus, and Nimbus. So Nimbus is going to be, yeah, there are a lot of melee units in this fight, but yeah, that's the sad part. But they all boost their attack speed. If you have somebody like Ivelios, you can just put Shalter back, and you can just bring in Thurnus because his attack speed is much higher, right? So you will be boosting the Ivelios' damage. But yeah, but that was pretty much up for today, guys. Let me know in the comments below what you would like to see next. I will be covering Vacania changes on the Vortex boss soon as well. There have been some, she was kind of buff, but some people have said that she was nerfed, so we will test it out later as well. But look out for the next one. Until then, take care.